Your mother walked in the room as she saw you standing near the window, looking outside with no expression. Because it's been 34 hours since Jungkook is missing. And there is no information about him that where he is. And police also doing their work, but still no clue. Daughter, eat something, she said, putting hands on your shoulder, and you came out of your thoughts. You haven't eaten anything properly. It's not good for your health, she said with a concern. Oma, it's been 34 hours since he is missing. I have no clue where he is and how he is. Did he eat anything or not? And she understands her daughter's pain. Oma, how can he just leave me like this? How can he leave his wine like this? Your voice break. I am understanding everything, daughter. But think once, if he sees you in this condition, he will be upset with you. Don't ruin your health. At least have something. And your tears slide down. And she hugged you and you broke down in her arms. Brace yourself, my baby. He will come back. She mumbled softly as she broke the hug and wiped your tears. Come, let me feed you. And she made you sit and you feed you. You quickly rushed to the location where Taehyung told you to come. As you saw his family police force, your dad, Zara and her dad, and Taehyung is already present, but you directly rushed to Taehyung. Where he is, you asked with desperation and he looked down in disappointment. Papa, say something, where is Jungkook? Your father put hand on your shoulder and you looked at him. Papa, Jungkook. He pulled you in his embrace. He must be alright, he mumbled. A group of divers and officers finally hauled out the car, and his mother cried as you looked in the direction, breaking the hug while the father watched you. And she walked to Mr. John, and your brows straightened when you finally recognized the car, and your heart stopped. Everything around you stopped. These things belong to your son, he said, extending some things as you quickly walked to them, taking the ring and his wallet in your hand while Mr. John stared at you. You recognized his wedding ring as your tears dropped, and when Sarah speaks, that's not Jungkook's car, she said. It's my car. Jungkook took my car, you blurted out, and Zara's rose straightened as she looked at you. Tears welled up in her eyes and officer sighed as he looked at his parents. I don't know what to say because his body is still yet to find. I don't think his body cut it off, the officer. It's Jungkook. Jungkook is his name, you coldly said as everyone looked at you. I understand your situation, Mr. Chan, but you need to understand. You busted out and your dad tried to calm you. No, Appa, how can he just say like this? You stubbornly said. While his mother cried, hugging Mr. John, his police officer didn't say anything further to you. I don't want to say to you, Mr. John, but I don't think there are very less chances that he survived because the river is deep and it's difficult to find him, he said to him. How can you just say my son is dying? He said, gritting teeth with tears. As suddenly you felt unconscious and your father quickly held you as Taehyung also rushed to you while Mr. John also looked at you in concern. Why in? He tapped your cheeks. Uncle, take her to hospital, he nodded as he picked you in his arms before rushing to his car followed by Taehyung. Doctor came out as Mr. Kim quickly rushed to her, also your mom, and Taehyung as he looked at her finding for an answer. You? She asked to her father. I'm her father. And she looked at Taehyung and her mother. Where's her husband? He should be here. Are you? Taehyung cut off her. No, I'm not. He's not here. Please tell us what happened. And she sighed. I don't know why you didn't take care of her because her body is really weak and it's not good for her in this condition. Means she's pregnant and I don't think she had her meal properly. That's why his mother heart broke while his father stood there. They don't know at this point they should be happy, but they can't because of situation as his father and mother is concerned about their daughter is suffering so much at this young age, which breaks their heart. Can we meet her? She nodded and they walked inside. Vaina, are you okay? She said, rushing to her, who is looking outside the window like a dead corpse. My daughter, he mumbled as he gently kissed her head and she looked at them. He still didn't come. The only words came out of her throat. Daughter, she mumbled while crying. As you kiss your belly and tears slide down from your eyes. And your parents too. He didn't keep his promise. I told him I have a surprise for him. He told me he will come back. But he didn't come back. Your tears slide. He didn't come back home. He lied to me. What will I tell to our baby that he didn't keep his promise? You looked at your mother with teary eyes. If you are going to be parents, he doesn't know this. How happy he will be if he knew. You choked your tears as your father kissed your head. Appa, please bring him back. Please, please, Appa, bring my Jungkook back. You cried and your parents' heart clenched. Daughter, please don't cry. It's not good for your health. She tried to make you calm down. Tears automatically made their way from Taehyung's eyes too. Looking at her condition made everyone's heart clench because their pain nothing compared to hers. You slept as they brought you home and your father and mother sat there just staring at how pale and weak their daughter looked. You slept after crying for hours and it was really difficult to handle you. What if she again asked about her? I can't see her crying, Yebo. Your father took a breath. Tried to distract her that she must not think about him, otherwise she will worsen her health. She looked at him. Is there any clue or any finding about him? Did Mr. John tell you anything? He shook his head. I have no idea. I tried to contact them, but they didn't pick my calls. And what kind of in-laws they are? Who hasn't asked about her daughter-in-law when she got unconscious in front of them? They didn't even call to check on Ryan. They lost their son. You can't imagine their pain. He looked at her, still jaggy. She is their daughter-in-law. Jungkook, he said, rushing inside the ward. As he catch his breath and tears filled in his eyes looking at him. As he looked at him expressionless and he rushed to him. You okay, my brother? You scared hell out of us, he said, hugging him slightly and he smiled a little. I'm okay now, brother, he said. When Zara and Mr. John walked inside, as he looked at him, but Mr. John looked away, making him confused a little. We have done with formalities. You will get discharged in few hours, he said, and Jungkook speaks. Please, Dad, I'm feeling stinky and irritated here. He walked near him also, Zara. It's just a matter of some time, son. We will be home. JK, here, this is for you, she said, extending him flower bouquet as he looked at her a little coldly. Thanks, he said, accepting it, and she smiled. Where Taehyung looked at him confused as he looked around for a particular figure as he didn't find her and spoke, Auntie Vine. Taehyung, come outside, we need to talk. As he walked outside and Miss Taehyung followed him in confusion. But uncle, when and how? You didn't inform me, he sighed as he put hand on his shoulders. We find him that day only, in very bad condition. He didn't gain consciousness about 4 days, and he regained consciousness only yesterday. This information got him as he looked at him shocked that they didn't tell to him about this. And why she knows this? He looked at him with question and he looked at him with no answer. Shouldn't tell her as well, he unconsciously said, and he sighed and shook his head. Taehyung's brows jolted. Uncle, she should be the first one to know this. How can you hide this from her? Do you even know her condition, what she is going through? She has been crying non-stop in that condition where she needs special care, Taehyung said in disbelief. As he took out his phone to call Bharat, Mr. John stopped him. Taehyung, listen to me. Don't tell her because he said, but Taehyung jerked his hand. She is his wife. She has right on him more than anyone. Uncle, do you even have any idea she has been carrying your son's child? Mr. John prostrated. What do you mean? She's pregnant. Pregnant with his son's child. How the hell he didn't ask for her? When he heard your sound and he walked in corner, well, Mr. John couldn't process anything. Hello, yes, fine. He told her everything. You quickly rushed inside, followed by your parents, and tears filled in your eyes looking at him. Your eyes yearned for him, and tears fell down from your eyes effortlessly as you took slow steps towards him, and he looked at you with doe eyes. Well, your father confronted his father as he looked at him angrily. How dare you to do this? My daughter cried every night. You didn't even feel ashamed while doing this? He angrily said, and he just stared him coldly. Jungkook, as you're about to hug him, but what he said next broke your heart. Who are you? And Taehyung and your parents looked at him surprised. Jungkook, what are you saying? She is your... Cut it off by his father. Son, she's our guest who live in our house, he said, eyeing to Taehyung, and he looked at his dad shocked. He walked near them. You don't remember her? He asked, and Jungkook shook his head, and your heart broke. No worries. It will take you time to remember everything. He looked so confused looking at you. She is closest to you since she came to live with us, and you really shared good bond as she studies in our college, he said looking at you. Jungkook looked at you with so many questions in his mind, and he doesn't know why his heart beat fast and looking in your eyes while you cried silently. Mrs. John stared at him unbelievably, and Zara rolled her eyes. Yeah, she studies in your university, that's it. She spoke in between while your eyes fixed on Jungkook. As you wiped your tears and forced yourself to smile. How are you? Are you okay? And he nodded. You are dying to hug him. Can I hug you? You said with heavy thought, and he nodded slightly. And you smiled as you hugged him, and your tears dropped while unknowingly he wrapped his arms around you, kissing your back slightly. And you feel that you finally got your soul back, while Jungkook's heart is beating like it never beat before. As you broke the hug, and unknowingly his hand reaches to your cheeks, wiping your tears down, and you smiled in pain. He has partial memory loss because of injury on his head, and it's really good for him if he doesn't pressurize himself to remember anything because his condition is still sensitive. Make sure he doesn't give pressure on his mind for now. I told him already, still telling because please be careful. She walked. He took support of the wall and used your dad hold your shoulder, and Mr. John watched. Careful, my daughter. You hugged him as he patted your back. We are taking him home. You can come with us, he said. Absolutely not. My daughter won't go anywhere with you all, warning them when Mrs. John also walks outside. Let her decide whether she will come or not. Mrs. John walked near. Chagi, what happened to you? Let her go with her family, she whispered to him. She needs to come with us. I can't let her go. She's carrying her son's child. She needs him. He mumbled, looking at her. Mrs. John looked at him. Why? I said right she won't go with you all. She's not safe there. You broke the hug and wiped your tears. I will go, Appa. He needs me. I can't leave him like this. He needs care. I'm his wife. And her father's gaze softened. For his care, his family is there. But there is no one to take care of you, daughter. Try to understand. And you held his hand. Jungkook is there. And he shook his head in a little annoyance. He doesn't remember you. How he will protect you? I can't take risks with you. Stubbornly shaking his head, and you held his hand. Appa, I can't live without him. Please, even from distance, I will be relieved I'm with him. And you put hand on your stomach. I will take care of our child. Who will take care of my child? He said with concern, and you smiled slightly. Don't worry about me. I would be alright more with him than without him. And he still didn't satisfy. One door opened, revealing Jungkook as his eyes met yours, teary ones, and he felt unknown pain in his heart looking at the tears in your eyes. You look away as you gave your dad an assuring smile. Dad, are we going? He nodded as he removed hands from Zara's shoulder. You go and sit in the car, we are coming. He nodded as Zara was about to help him, but Taekook held him as he glared at her. He walked with Taekook, but walking with him, he looked back at you, which Taekook noticed, and he smiled a little. Why are you looking at her like that? He quickly looked back as he corrected his throat. Do you know how my accident happened? How many days I've been in hospital? Taekook looked at him. Don't think too much right now. As doctor told you, don't pressurize yourself. He sighed and walked. I will be all if she gets even a scratch, he said, warning to Mr. John, and he looked at him coldly. Don't worry about her, he said coldly. Come on, we are waiting outside. He walked, followed by Mrs. John and Sarah. Your mom walked near as she kissed your forehead. Take care, daughter, she said as you nodded and looked at your father and you hugged him. Don't worry about me, I will be alright, you mumbled and he kissed your head. Just a phone call away from you. Don't hesitate. Take care. You nodded. She brought water for him as you extended to him and he looked at you. And you can see in his eyes whenever he looks at you, there's a kind of curiosity and emotion he is carrying, which you are very well aware of. Thank you. You placed a tray on the table and Mr. John looked at you. Don't work too much. Mates are here for that, he said, and you nodded slightly. You sit looking at him with adoration, and his eyes also are on you while drinking water as he gulped down the water. You live with us? You smiled slightly and nodded, and he looked at his parents. I told you right, she studies in an art university, so her home was far away from her house, so she lives with us. She's my friend's daughter. Your heart sank hearing it, but you still forced yourself to smile. Yes, very close to you, he added. She's Zara's sister. Zara looked disgusted. No, not at all. Jungkook, we are together since childhood. She immediately responds. I thought the same, she can't be. He murmured as he looked at his dad. Which friend, Dad? His dad smiled. You don't know him. He looked so confused as he looked at. What's your name? He asked, and he looked at him immediately. Vian. And he stared at her features briefly. You are so pretty, Vian. He blurted out unknowingly, and he looked at him surprised, and the young smiled. I mean, you're beautiful. And you smiled. Thank you. You need some rest. Rest we all leave. she said in between, and he nodded. While all the time he's looking at you as if he wants to say a lot but can't. As everyone walked out and you stop and look at him. If you need anything, call me. I'm in next to your room. And he looked at you innocently. You are next to my room? He asked, and you nodded with a smile. Okay, thanks, Ryan, he said with a smile as you looked at him lastly and walked outside. He looked at her disappearing figure as he put hand on his heart, and I feel like we met before, Ryan, he mumbled. She's my type, he mumbled while smiling to himself. Taeyang smiled as you extended him coffee. Thanks, he said as you sat, and he looked at you, sipping. You okay now? You smiled. Yes, I am, he smiled. That's a relief. You know what, Ryan? You looked at him, sipping. He smiled. He might not remember you, but I remember his gaze when he first time see you. He has the same gaze now when he is looking at you today that he again felt for you first sight. You smiled. I know my friend very well. He got whipped for you at first sight, and it feels like deja vu. He chuckled a little. And the best part is he's falling in love with you again like he did before. I can't believe a man can fall twice for the same girl. And tears filled in your eyes, but there's a smile on your face as he noticed. Don't worry, everything will be alright, he nodded as your lips are trembling while smiling, and tears dropped. Your heart connected with him. It will not take much time to him remember you. You nodded. Thank you, Opa, for being my side. He smiled. No need. You are like my little sister, and most importantly, you are the most important to my little brother. You smiled and you so looked down. You didn't tell Jungkook that you are pregnant. You shook your head slightly. I wanted to surprise him, but you stopped and he nodded. How many weeks? You smiled as you put hand on your belly. 8 weeks. He smiled. Jungkook should have been on cloud 9 by now, if you knew. Any which ways. Can't wait to see our little copy of Jungkook. You smiled. Me too. But I just wish Jungkook might not miss this period of her life. Hope for the best. I wish to see you both happy again. You smiled in reply. He changed his side continuously as he couldn't sleep, and he finally got up feeling frustrated because of non-stop running thoughts in his mind. What is happening to me? Why so mess? Why I'm not able to remember anything? As he got up from the bed and walked outside frustratedly. As everyone is sleeping right now, he is the only one who's being owl. But he stopped near your room. As he noticed your room lights on and door slightly open, and he hesitated a bit, but slowly opened it. But to his surprise, he saw you with a book and sleeping peacefully, and it felt like to him it happened before. She always does this when she has to study. A blurry flashback came as he frowned in confusion, and his heart beat abnormally, but shrugging off his thought, which was making him restless, he walked near her as he found her sleeping, which made him smile slightly. He tucked his hand behind as he slowly took the book from your hand and not letting her disturb her sleep. He kept it beside the table as he gently made her lay on the bed as she moved a little, making his heart beat faster but sleep peacefully. He covers her with duvet as he sat down to her level, admiring her closely. He smiled looking at her as he felt all his thoughts got stopped like the sea has found his shore. He felt peace looking at her face. Are you a magician or what, Ryan? You were just creating magic on me. Can't take my eyes off you, he said in very low voice. We just met, but you feel like my home. Why? Do we have any connection? He mumbled as his hand slowly reaches to your cheeks. God must be very careful when he created you. He questioned himself how he created you. You're like a dream to me. Encasing your cheek. I know it's weird because we just met. Because I don't have any memory of you, but it feels like I know you from ages, he murmured. You moved a little as your hand covers his view, but something he noticed which caught him off guard. As he looked at the ring in your finger and then you.